Well, hello again. Here I am giving yes and no answers to some big questions. I suppose for many people this is one of the biggest. Is there reincarnation? Reincarnation really means the rebirth after you die into a new body. Well, a lot has been written about this. There are some amazing stories out there of apparent examples, but there are a lot of people who fiercely deny the possibility and view it as just so much hokum. So let's examine the arguments. I think on this one I'll start with the no people, those who say, no, there isn't reincarnation. I guess argument number one is, well, I only believe in things that I can perceive with my senses. I believe in things that are explainable with science, by observation in physics, chemistry, biology, that kind of thing. Anything else is imaginary. Another possible objection is that people who believe in reincarnation are fantasists. They're delusional. They're hysterics. They're people who imagine conspiracy theories every time they turn around. They are the sorts of people that you probably wouldn't believe anyway. So this is just one more example of the kind of silly stuff they come up with. Another possible response, another reason for denying it, is the suspicion that it's promoted for reasons of personal gain, for writing books, making speeches, and generally becoming a kind of reincarnation celebrity. There are a few of those around. Another is the notion that, well, there aren't many around. Those who deny reincarnation would say, well, I've never met anybody who's been reincarnated. One would think, if this is such a widespread and even inevitable next step for mankind, that I would know people who have been reincarnated who demonstrate knowledge of prior lives. Well, I simply haven't. I suppose, to be fair, one might take the view that they're a bit embarrassed to admit it, so maybe I do know some people, but I think it's pretty unlikely. And then finally, I think there's a big reason for imagining that there's reincarnation, and this applies, by the way, to any sort of phenomenon that takes place after death. Here you might take a look at my video, by the way, in the afterlife. And that is the fear of death. As you get older and start contemplating the end of your life, for many people this is truly frightening. They need some sort of construct to make them feel good about what happens next. They just can't imagine total annihilation. So reincarnation sounds pretty good. So what about the yes crowd? Those who do believe in reincarnation are fairly certain that it actually takes place. What are their reasons for thinking so? Well, I suppose among the most powerful are persuasive stories of reincarnation having taken place. Many situations of this sort have been examined in detail by psychiatrists, by researchers, by people trying to dig down to the bottom of claims of reincarnation, doing a fact check, taking a look at whether the person in question could possibly have known some of the things that he or she is claiming. YouTube itself has got quite a few tales of this sort. So, many of them are very persuasive. A second reason is that there have been many celebrated advocates of reincarnation. There's a Professor Stevenson who wrote kind of the seminal book on the subject that I read many years ago, citing just a lot of different cases that are really, frankly, hard to explain by any way other than either reincarnation or total fraud. Similarly, there are other famous academics, Edgar Cayce being one of them, even the Dalai Lama, who is, of course, convinced that there is not only reincarnation, but he's an example of it, because there have been previous Dalai Lamas of which he is a reincarnation. Another argument is that reincarnation is claimed by quite a few religions. The ancient Greeks, many of them thought that it was a valid philosophical and actual idea. Of course, the Indian religions, Hindu, Buddhist, and so forth, all have some form of reincarnation. Even the Scientologists have reincarnation as part of their belief system. Finally, it's quite a pleasant and far more acceptable alternative explanation for the way things are going to happen after you die than what we've referred to in another video on hell as ECT, eternal conscious torment. A horrible proposition, the idea that, of course, you will, if you behave very badly, you will be subject to the torturous depredations of hell for all eternity. Well, this sounds a lot better than that, really. Okay, what's my take? Fantastic as it does seem, it seems to me that we have to keep open-minded about reincarnation. There's a lot going on with the human genome. We're discovering more and more about the kinds of information that is passed in our DNA. So to a certain extent, there's a possibility there that some of what we're talking about here is contained in the passage of DNA from one generation to the next. A number of these cases cited don't involve predecessor generations, so there may be something else to explain. But I wouldn't close my mind in this. Some of the stories are so enormously impressive and believable that I think I would be remiss if I just dismissed them out of hand. I'm skeptical, but I'm willing to give it a fair hearing. So there I am. Okay, well, I thought that was a fairly even-minded treatment of a very difficult and at times contentious subject. So I hope it was interesting and useful for you. And if you thought so, not only give me a like and perhaps subscribe to the channel, but even make a comment or two on the YouTube comment section. Okay, well, thanks a lot. I'm glad you joined me, and I'll see you at the next video.